Hi, my name is Sean Stevens, and this is
John O'Guthrie.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about LassoScript. Now, the reason why LassoScript is, I am really a vintage syntax guy.
You are.
And what I mean by that is, I've never used LassoScript before. I like everything in good old-fashioned square brackets. I mean, those things are square, they're clear, you know, here's where we are, and I've never actually even tried to move my code from just organic, flowing, loving, square bracket stuff. Today I was being mocked about this, and Jono said he'd show me how to get my code from being square bracket to LassoScript.
Yep.
So here's an example piece of code that I would write. Now, Jono, you said that this may not be the best contender for LassoScript. We'll talk about why.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that LassoScript gives you. First of all, it will allow you to have everything together in one logical grouping. Okay, we were talking a little bit before about using bracket syntaxes for logical grouping.
Right.
Right. So this is a little bit of an extension philosophically.
But this isn't really a syntax.
It's not really a syntax.
This is sort of a way of grouping things.
Yeah, it's
or a way of writing things. Sort of a different style of writing.
It's stylistic.
Script form versus embedded form.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
That is.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so you can have your entire page in every single statement, every single variable declaration, every single loop, each in its own square bracket. But two things happen. Which is what you do. Yes, I've seen that. So it does two things. First of all, it dramatically increases the amount of white space that is generated if you are going to indent and not run your code on.
Right.
Okay, so you'll see here down...
so is white space a problem?
Well, it can be from two perspectives. The generated HTML has
the stuff that spits out at the end of the day.
Stuff that spits out and given to your browser by the server. Okay, when you have a look at the source code for that, there's a lot of white space in there if you are using a lot of square brackets without any sort of cleanup at the end.
Right.
So it makes the source a lot harder to actually read.
Interesting.
Okay, now a web browser is not going to have much of an extra issue. And as long as your web server has, in actual fact, a, say for instance, gzip compression, IIS, Apache, most of them actually have the ability to turn on or off or modify the output. That means that it's not going to be a huge amount of extra white space that is being transmitted across the internet.
But if you're doing a whole bunch of database calls and other stuff, instead of having a huge amount of white space at the beginning of your file, which you see on websites all over the place,
horrible.
You want to put all that theory, all that logic inside some LassoScript, and then perhaps use square bracket syntax for a table or something afterwards.
That's right. So square bracket syntax is actually excellent for embedding information.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Now it can still output though.
Oh,
which we're going to talk about today. And in fact, we've chosen an example here that we'd probably keep some square bracket and some LassoScript, but we're going to move the whole thing or move a significant part to LassoScript. Right?
Well, yeah, we're going to move one part to LassoScript. Okay. So,
and I'll note that in here I'm not using colon syntax. We're actually using bracket syntax, which we discussed in an earlier video.
Okay.
Okay, so
first of all, let's run this file. So this file just simply sets a variable and then starts a table, loops through 10 iterations, and increments the variable by 1 each time. And
you see the raw output here in the console at the bottom, not what you'd see in a browser.
That's correct.
Right.
Okay. So this here is the actual raw source that would be delivered to your browser.
Okay.
Okay, so this is what the web server is giving to your browser. So look, if we have a look at the top, first of all, you'll see that we've got a return here and
irrelevant white space.
Irrelevant white space. Now, some would argue, yeah, that's not a major problem, but down here, all of a sudden, we've got extra white space. So you can see there's tabs.
There's white space in between.
There's white space in between each table row. You've got a HTML syntax area there, by the way. You've got extra white space, and that white space is consistent every time. So let's get rid of that, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, let's clean it up. First of all, I'm going to pop in
fix that HTML syntax. I'll cut that later.
Thank you. No problem at all. Okay. And right.
So let's start off with Lasso. How do I call Lasso syntax? LassoScript.
Okay. There are two ways that you can actually do LassoScript. First of all, you can do the classic angle bracket, question mark, LassoScript.
Angle bracket, question mark, LassoScript. and end that with a question mark and a caret again.
Yes.
Is that right? And so everything in between this here is actually...
Well, that's LassoScript.
That's LassoScript.
The way to delineate your statements in LassoScript is using a semicolon.
A semicolon.
Okay.
Now I have a question though. Why write LassoScript as opposed? Is this the same as a square bracket?
It is actually exactly the same as a square bracket.
So why don't you just have a square bracket at the beginning?
Well, yeah, there's some philosophical issues there. If you have LassoScript, then everyone that is looking at this file knows that it is LassoScript.
Ah.
So from a ease of use and branding perspective, that's an excellent way to go. So you can see very easily whether or not it's PHP or Lasso.
So there's no benefit to using LassoScript over square bracket.
No,
okay.
You could very easily. So let's put in here var bracket.
Yeah.
X equals.
Yeah. 1.
Okay, so that one there is functionally equivalent to. Let's copy that. And square bracket is functionally equivalent to that.
Interesting.
Okay, so if we then wanted to actually say that, let's put another statement there. Now this is going to work equally as well in Lasso 8 and Lasso 9. So var y equals 2. So let's copy that and enter. Well, yeah, so that there is functionally equivalent to this up here.
Interesting.
And you can have returns in there, you can have
Anything
lots of stuff. So everything within those square brackets is all grouped together in the same, they're different statements, but they're...
So LassoScript really isn't the fact that it says LassoScript or not, it's the fact that you have different lines that have a semicolon at the end that imply that to run different things, as opposed to embedding everything separately.
Yes, that's right. So you can run them all together.
Gotcha.
Okay, so what you see here will work in both 8 and 9.
So if we get rid of that, and we go just to LassoScript, and I want to wrap my variable, just run along with me here because I am new to LassoScript. Basically, then I can just take I would need to take these square brackets out. That's right.
Yep.
Do I have to have a semicolon at the end of the line? In Lasso 8, I do.
Well, yes and no. If you've got one statement,
only one statement,
then you don't need it.
Right, but probably best practice to put it there anyway.
Well, no, not really.
Not
if
really.
you've got one statement, you don't need it.
Okay.
However, if you have more than one statement, in Lasso 8, you need to have a semicolon between each statement.
Right. Now,
in Lasso 9, you don't.
You don't. Now, as I move this down, so we'll take one piece at a time here.
Yep.
If I want to output table, how do I do that? Can I just do this, or do I need to do something to output that?
You do need to do something to output that, because at the moment it is actually viewed as being something that it wants to try and interpret. However, really that's just simply a string that we want to output.
So do I need to type the word output?
No.
I don't.
No. Not even in Lasso 8.5, you don't need output.
I did see it, it is a tag.
Yeah, but that's for legacy, that's backwards compatibility.
Oh, interesting, okay.
Okay.
So I wrap this in text, right? Like this? Do I need to put a semicolon at the end of this?
No, because it's the last statement.
Because it's the last of the last. But if I want to put another statement in there,
semicolon.
I would have to have a semicolon.
In Lasso 8. In Lasso 9, you don't need semicolons.
So if I save that and run it, at the bottom here, I see it's removed the white space for me.
That's correct.
And I've still got a bunch more white space.
Yep.
So probably what I want to do here is I want to grab this, I want to move it down, and what I'll do is I'll remove the square bracket here, oops, and the other square bracket at the end of each statement, and I need to put in a semicolon to imply the end of the list, save that, and run it, and bam, now I've removed a lot of the white space. I can actually remove more.
Yep.
So take this whole statement, right? Do you want to do that?
You could, but you would then be putting all of that into string quote and being quoted as string, output as quoted strings.
No.
I would argue that that's actually counterproductive. So let's just simply get rid of that, run that on like that, save it, and run it.
So, but what's weird about this is that you actually have the container here, loop. You have the front part of the loop, the outside of the container inside a LassoScript call, and then the other part is actually inside embedded. It's literally working together, irrelevant of. that's probably not a good methodology because it's going to get confusing, is it not?
Well, we'll cover that later on, especially in Lasso 9. We can cover that in the whole section that we're going to talk about containers.
Gotcha. So, interesting. So, in terms of LassoScript itself, do we need to... does it run faster or slower or anything to put it in this? Oh, it's only that
Not
white
really.
space thing.
It's the white space and readability.
How do I add comments? Like obviously, if I was to put a comment in here like this, this is going to be out, put out to the web.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to have less comments, what I'd probably want to do is I'd have to wrap this in my old style. Oop, output none and output none like this. And of course,
really?
that would not output that comment anymore. But I could do the same thing in LassoScript by doing what?
Okay. Well, there are two things you can do. First of all, you can just
output none.
Well, yeah.
Right. Unnecessary.
Totally unnecessary.
Right.
Okay. So let's first of all get rid of this eyesore.
What do you mean? It's a good way to leave comments.
And
you should always comment your code. You know that, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm just typing in comment again. Now, the way that there are two ways that you can do comments in LassoScript. First of all, you can just type in a //
Okay.
Okay, and you'll see that it turns green.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like
you
green.
can you can then go return and put in something more. Now that is actually still code that's trying to execute.
Right.
That's the problem. So you can then just simply comment that individual line again. These are how to comment individual lines. Now the shortcut I used for that, by the way, in Lasso Lab was in the Mac I pressed Command / and that is the shortcut to convert that line or that group of lines that you're in.
Command / will comment that code.
That's right. So that's the shortcut. However, if you want to comment multiple lines, then you have a whole pile of stuff here. And you want to do that, you can
Command / it all, and it'll actually put it all in the comment.
That's right.
Gotcha.
However,
Wow.
the easier way to do it, the better way to do it, is to press / at the start, and at the end, we're going to go */.
And that comments the whole block.
That comments the block.
Interesting. So here's another question about these comments: can I put actual code in these comments? So can I type in var, and is this going to be processed?
No.
Even if I add something or whatever that is. Oops, I put a colon in there. Sorry, have it. What if I end the statement? There's nothing. So it completely ignores anything on that line or in that block, and then will not process that.
That's correct.
That's another benefit to LassoScript, and I can comment things a lot more effectively because I can leave things in and out of my code, whereas it's a little more difficult to do that in embedded style.
Correct.
Interesting. Well, thank you very much. That was very helpful. Maybe I will try this sometime.
Excellent.
Thanks, General.
No problem.
Вы слушаете по Radio Show.